Hi, everybody.
Hello,
Welcome
everyone.
to the show. My lovely co host Isaac is here with me. Um, it's been a weekend.
Yes, yes.
It's been a couple of weeks, actually, for me, but yeah, what a weekend. Holy
Mm-hmm.
moly.
Yes.
Um, well, hi, Maureen. I'm glad you're back. Um, Today's topic, chosen by y'all last episode, when you
Yes.
decided to go ahead and choose the topic, is
Mm-hmm.
asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, did I learn that lesson well these last 2 weeks when my son decided to have a heart attack on me.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly I was having to ask for help. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a very humbling thing because your pride wants to kick in and say, I don't need to ask for
Mm-hmm.
help. I can take care of this. And part of
Mm-hmm.
you is like, no, you can't.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
um, so what are some of the stages, I guess, Isaac, of
Mm.
why someone would or would not ask for help
Well,
if something happens in their life?
the one thing that I've seen, and this is what I believe. I believe that if, say for instance, if I'm helping someone, I have to realize I can sort of like put myself in their place and empathize with them and sort of like feel what they would be feeling to have to deal with whatever they're dealing with. Now, a lot of us, we are open to helping other people. We will, give people clothing, take them food, give them money. But when we have to do it, when we have to be on the accepting end, our emotions sort of like do something different and we don't like to feel what it feels like. But this is what I believe. I believe spirit says, Isaac, if it's okay to help people, I want you to see what it feels like to receive help. That takes you somewhere totally different. It almost makes you feel powerless and helpless, but it's really not. We really know it's not because people are there supporting us, but it feels that way. So I think that makes us prepares us better to help other people and to give because we can say, "Oh, I know how this feels." That's what I
Right.
think. Hmm.
I know somebody said to me years ago, um, you're not the only one that gets blessed when someone helps you.
Hmm.
The person that's helping is getting blessed too.
I like that.
So don't deny them their blessing because you have too much pride to accept yours.
Uh
And
huh.
that kind of stuck with me. Somebody said that to me back when my late husband passed away,
Uh huh.
and we didn't have insurance or anything.
Hmm.
And I was like, where am I going to come up with 25 grand to bury the man? I had no money. I had
Hmm.
25 bucks in the bank, and that was it.
Hmm.
And it was amazing that the entire cost of the funeral was covered inside of 24 hours,
Wow.
just from a few people picking up the phone and making a few phone
Hmm.
calls
Hmm.
to different churches. The church that we belonged to at the time, they picked up the phone and called other churches, even of
Mm.
different denominations in the area,
Uh huh.
and
Right.
just said, we've got a situation and
Hmm.
we're trying to raise money, so we can pay for this funeral.
Uh huh.
And man, people were like,
Hmm. Hmm.
just came out of the woodwork. It
Hmm.
was truly,
Hmm.
truly humbling, how many
Hmm.
people reached out to help. And
Hmm.
and then I think of, I guess, let me back up a minute. We got a couple of new faces in here. So this show is specifically designed for helping people cope with mental wellness, um,
Hmm.
kind of understanding it, knowing how to help yourself, how to help others.
Hmm.
Um, and Isaac is a professional counselor. I'm not. I'm just I'm just a YouTuber.
Mm-hmm.
But I did have when I graduated from college, my concentration was in behavioral sciences.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always had a real heart for helping people. Hey, Clarence, hey, Bor, and Chris, and Mel, and Maureen, and Gina. And wow,
Hi,
everybody's showing up.
Gina.
And so when Spirit stuck this idea in my head to do this show, I immediately I see Isaac's big smiling face in my brain, and I'm hearing, "There's a guy. Give him a call." And so, fortunately, he was like, "Yeah, I'm in. Let's do it." So,
Mm-hmm.
we are completely equal partners in this through and through.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
he just, "Hey, Ramon, just to Sir Isaac." Oh, I forgot to change my name. Let me do that real quick. Sir Isaac, we've given ourselves titles. We think
Yeah.
we
No,
deserve it.
somebody gave us those titles about
That's
two,
yeah,
three
that's right.
shows ago.
2 or 3
Uh-huh.
shows back, somebody changed our
Uh-huh.
names and started
Mm-hmm.
calling us that.
Uh-huh.
So
Well,
and it just kind of stuck.
while you're changing your name, really, to be honest with you, Sherry, you're helping people as well. Uh, and I don't think we realize how much we help people that just by being who we are, that people can
Yeah,
come and they can connect with other people. That means a lot. That really means a
absolutely.
lot. Some people don't. We do this in different ways. Some people like to be in groups. Some people, this is just perfect for them.
Yeah,
But whatever works for you is what we need to do, because other people will tell us this is the way you should connect. This is how you should connect. I think we should connect in the way that feels right for us, because see, I
right.
was on BetterHelp for probably about a year and a half, 2 years. And I have all these counselors that say, "Oh, I don't like BetterHelp. I don't think you can connect with people the way you can in person." But I never had that problem, and I saw
Yeah.
people get better. And my
Well,
thinking is, as much as you can, as much help as you can get online, offline, whatever it is, making help available. I think that's what helps people. That's what benefits people.
exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say, there are I think back to, I guess it was 2 or 3 shows back
Hmm.
that we were what was the topic about? Um I think it was on abusive relationships or something like that. And we just had a really small group that showed up that day, maybe 10 people in the chat,
Hmm.
but they really opened up and they were talking to each other as well as to us,
Yes.
and
Yes.
releasing some of that trauma of things that
Hmm.
they had gone through. And I
Hmm.
know after the show, you and I hung out backstage for a while talking about that
Hmm.
was productive. That's what we're trying
Yes.
to do, is to
Uh-huh.
get people in the chat to talk to each other as well as to
Right.
us, because
Right.
we're doing this for y'all that come in.
Hmm.
If you're having an issue and you don't know how to resolve it, between the two of us, maybe we can help you come up with a solution that works for you.
Right.
If it's reaching out to somebody online and talking to an online counselor,
Hmm.
fantastic. If you
Hmm.
feel you need to go in and actually talk to someone,
Hmm.
it's better. I equate it
Hmm.
with reading.
Hmm.
I started reading the cards and reading for people online 3 years ago when I first started doing this. I'd
Hmm.
never owned a tarot deck, much less did readings on them. I
Hmm.
learned on the fly.
Hmm.
But I finally did my first in-person reading with someone.
Hmm.
It was a difference of night and day because the energy was totally
Hmm.
different and a lot more overwhelming, because you've got that other person's energy that's like right there in the room with you, and it's very strong. Not
Hmm.
that that's a bad thing. It's just that
Hmm.
it's different. And I had to
Hmm.
take a minute and
Hmm.
readjust.
Yes.
And then the next day when I come back and I'm online and I'm doing a private reading for somebody, and it was readjusting again
Mm-hmm.
to that change.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that's where it's so vital
Mm-hmm.
that even if it's just within our own little community, that we
Mm-hmm.
learn to talk to each other,
Mm-hmm.
that we learn to listen to each other.
Mm-hmm.
We can hear each other talk all day long. It doesn't mean we're listening to what they're saying.
Correct.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times we're too busy trying to think about what we're going to say in response
Mm-hmm.
instead of actually listening to what's being said
Mm-hmm.
to us.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I just, and that's, I know Isaac and I have talked about it. That's our hope for this particular show, is that we can be there as a bridge for someone that maybe is
Mm-hmm.
dealing with depression or anxiety or
Mm-hmm.
needing help and not knowing how to ask for it,
Mm-hmm.
just needing somebody to talk to and get it off your
Mm-hmm.
chest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's kind of our goal, and it's limited to what we can do online because of legalities that, we're not licensed to practice medicine online. Um, but it's enough that maybe we can provide enough assistance to help if just talking it out with someone is going to help,
Mm-hmm.
or to be able to realize that I need to go see a professional counselor and get
Mm-hmm.
actual help.
Right.
And that's our
Right.
goal, is to help y'all determine what's going to be best for you to do for
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And think about it, Sherry, and that's why we have to talk to people who are spiritual, who are empathic, who are compassionate, because we are the ones who will not seek help, but we will help other people. We have to realize that, and I really believe this, that the universe, God, spirit says, if it's okay for Sherry, if you're going to push Sherry to do it, I'm going to ask you to do it too, Isaac. And just be willing to step into whatever it is you need to deal with. And another thing is, as we like you were mentioning the last show when everybody was talking to each other, in group therapy, there's a term called universality, which means that things that are happening to me also happens to other people. And
right.
we don't often realize that. We think that
No, you always feel like it's isolated, like you're the only one going
yes,
through it, or
yes.
you're the only one that feels that way about it.
Mm-hmm.
I know I shared, I think it was the last episode I shared, we were talking about stages of grief.
Mm-hmm.
And I shared that, the hardest stage I had to go through when my husband died was feeling guilty for feeling relief that I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have to deal with this anymore because he had been
Mm-hmm.
so sick for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a relief. Oh, I don't have to do this anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
then it was the guilt on top of it for feeling
Mm-hmm.
that way. With
Mm-hmm.
Besides the fact that that's perfectly
Mm-hmm.
normal to feel that
Mm-hmm.
way. It took me a while to
Mm-hmm.
get there,
Mm-hmm.
but once I did, then I was able to
Mm-hmm.
deal with it and put it away and say, okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I get it now. Um,
Right.
as for asking for help, like I was saying to Isaac backstage, I just went through this 2 weeks ago when my son decided to
Mm-hmm.
have a heart attack on me. And I'm like freaking out. And then I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking, oh my God, how are we going to pay the medical bills? Because
Mm-hmm.
insurance doesn't cover everything, it only covers a certain percentage. And you got to
Mm-hmm.
cough up the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of care in an emergency room, in a regular
Yeah.
hospital, and the doctors, it takes money, the kind of
Mm-hmm.
money I don't have and don't have access to. And it was
Mm-hmm.
from talking it out with several friends that were all like, you need to do a GoFundMe. And then
Mm-hmm.
let everybody be able to help you help
Mm-hmm.
him.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's slowly what's been happening. And so a big
Mm-hmm.
thank you to everyone who has
Mm-hmm.
donated. Um, if you don't have money to donate, you don't have money to donate. Don't feel guilty about it. Just share
Mm-hmm.
it. Put it on your
Right.
social media pages.
Mm-hmm.
If that's if that's the best you can do, that's fantastic, because
Mm-hmm.
who knows how many people will see it and say,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I can give $5 or $10. That's no big deal."
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with some people, $5 or $10 may mean eating that week,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
It's all relative.
And exactly, Maureen. Yeah, there are days when just to have someone to talk to and listen to you
Mm-hmm.
can make all the difference in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and hi, Clarence. Yeah, depression. My late husband was clinically depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And when he would
Ah,
go into one of his funks, it was
mm-hmm.
horrible. It
Mm-hmm.
took everything we had to pull him out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a constant battle. And then,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all get depressed, but
Mm-hmm.
some people, I don't know, I guess, Isaac, like more like on a chemical basis or something, that the way it affects you, that it's a whole different level of depression than
The
just
the
somebody
way
feeling bad for the day. Yeah.
Yeah, the way I would explain, like Clarence said, he has depression and anxiety. Usually, people with anxiety will develop depression because you can't sleep and you keep thinking. But what I would say to you is seek help from a counselor because, or even, you know, because there are certain things that you can do, but basically, you're going to have to put your attention on yourself. Whatever you focus on will grow, it will change. You get to learn about yourself. And what we'll do is we'll tell ourselves that we're strong if I can just carry this around a little bit longer. It's You're actually stronger when you lay your burdens down and deal with them. I
Yeah.
would talk to someone, and what I say to people, and this is what I believe, mental health, everything is on a continuum. There are some people who never seem to get depressed. They may be over to the right. There's some people who seem like they came in depressed. And but the thing about it is you're trying to get balance. None of us are perfect.
Right.
If you had to put together a human body, would you put together everything so that it worked right? We're having different chemicals in our brains and different things like that. Some have a little more, some have a little less, whatever it is. What we do is we find what works for us the best
Hmm.
and we start working on that. Work on yourself. That's what I would say, Claire. Anybody.
Exactly.
There people are
Anybody can.
walking around People are walking around with depression and anxiety all the time. And
And in
they
our
the
community, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
go ahead. Go ahead,
I
finish.
think the reason why they don't deal with it is because they never knew that they could. But
Yeah.
all problems have solutions, and you can find the solutions. Sorry about that,
No,
Sharon.
no,
Go ahead.
I didn't realize you were still going and I butted in.
Hmm.
And in our community, the majority of us are all empaths. So we tend to
Yeah.
soak up everybody else's feelings and emotions anyway. That
Yes.
gets dumped into ours and just exacerbates it, makes it worse.
You're
Um,
right.
Hi Rose, hi blessed one. So yeah, it can be really, really difficult
Hmm.
to be able to just kind of keep yourself on an even keel when things happen.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
just went, like I said, I just went through this 2 weeks ago when my life turned upside down. And I literally 2 days after it happened, I looked at my son and said,
Hmm.
"You can't go yet." I said,
Hmm.
"You're all I got left." And he's like, "Mom,
Uh-huh.
don't say that." I'm like, "I'm serious. Like, your
Uh-huh.
dad's gone." I said, "And you're
Hmm.
it. You're all I got
Hmm.
left. And you can't go yet." I said,
Hmm.
can't deal with it." I said, "It's
Hmm.
natural for me to go first. And
Hmm.
then you, not the other way around." He says, "Well, I can't control that." I said, "I know." I said, "I'm just getting it off my chest. Just so you'll know, you got to hang around a while longer." And, but it's even something like that, as I'm teasing him about it, there's still that kernel of truth in there that
Hmm.
I can't imagine losing my child. And I
Mm-hmm.
have friends who have lost their
Mm-hmm.
children through a
Mm-hmm.
tragic accident, through suicide, through uh, a medical issue. Um, and I just can't fathom how they deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
felt the same way until how somebody deals with a spouse die. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
imagine it until I went through it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, you deal with it one day at a time. Same with when your
Mm-hmm.
parent dies, when my mom passed. That was
Mm-hmm.
another whole, it
Mm-hmm.
was a completely different experience than it was
Mm-hmm.
with my husband.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they both passed and I knew that it was coming for both of them because they were both ill,
Mm-hmm.
it was still a completely different response
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
one was my mate and the other was my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, there's very different emotions building up in there. Um, and then there are some people who completely cut themselves off from their family and they don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
They could wear Melania's jacket for the day. I really don't care. Can you? Do you? I mean, um, that still irks me every time I think about her wearing it to that children's prison. Um,
Uh-huh.
Yesterday we had an assassination attempt on the former president who's running again. A lot of things have been said about what's going on with that. A lot of us believe, some believe that it was staged, some believe that it wasn't. That's a decision everybody's going to have to make on their own. I know what I think. I said it all in the surprise pop-up I did yesterday with a bunch of other readers. We kind of just
Mm-hmm.
got it off our chest.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to know that, you can go watch that video. I'm not going to get into it here,
Mm-hmm.
but there are a lot of people that are going to be traumatized from that. Not just the people that were there, but the people who were watching, who saw it happen live. We went through that with the
Mm-hmm.
J6 insurrection, when all those people attacked the Capitol. I remember being at home here in Louisiana with my face glued to the TV going, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this. And I can't imagine the horror that went through the folks that were there,
Mm-hmm.
having to either try to hold them off or running and hiding for their life so they don't get found for fear
Mm-hmm.
of being killed.
Mm-hmm.
That can kind of give you a whole new perspective on life, you know, um, a whole new perspective on asking for help. It's, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's, this person's going to kill me if I don't find a place to hide that they can't find me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's, hi, Mary Spirit. We are talking about asking for help, is today's topic. Um, so it's hard. Like I said, someone said to me back when my husband died, don't deny somebody helping you because you're not the only one being blessed. They're getting blessed too. It's a
Mm-hmm.
two-way street. And it really made me stop and think because I know when I'm able to help other people, I feel really good. Not for me, but I feel really good that I was able to actually do something and make a
Mm-hmm.
bad situation better in some little way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's really difficult, as you were saying earlier, to be on the other end of that. And suddenly you're having to ask for and accept
Mm-hmm.
assistance because you
Mm-hmm.
can't do it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes, in my mind, that takes a lot of courage and a lot of maturity to get to that point that you can look yourself in the mirror and say, okay, I can't do this. I need help. And I think that was the whole point of what we're trying to go for here is it's okay to admit I need help. And it's okay to
Mm-hmm.
ask for someone to help you, whether if it's just a friend or relative that'll sit down and listen to you vent, or whether it's a professional that you go and pay money to see and say, fix me, I feel broken.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no shame in that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have to really commend um, the in the royal household, the Prince and Princess of Wales now, William and Catherine. They are both huge proponents of mental health help and are always going out into the communities to promote mental health clinics and talking about, like William has talked about, what all he went through when he lost his mother.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, young boys lose their mother every day, but how
Mm-hmm.
many lose their mother, who's the most beloved woman on the planet? And it's a 24/7 news cycle for months, even years on end. I can't imagine having to deal with that kind of grief and
Mm-hmm.
deal with everybody else's grief at the same time, because people felt like they knew Princess Diana,
Mm-hmm.
even though they may have never stepped foot in England.
Uh-huh.
That's just how well known she was. And that happens with celebrities when a big celebrity dies.
Mm-hmm.
It's learning to step back and not overwhelm the family of that person who has passed, because they're dealing with their own grief. They don't need an adoring public to dump on them even more grief. That doesn't
Mm-hmm.
help anybody.
Mm.
I'm out.
Okay. All right.
I did. Okay. I hit a
I
wall.
saw I saw where Marine um asked if empaths tend to get depressed. I would say to you they can get depressed if they are not aware of what they're feeling, because empaths, they tend to try to heal other people's emotional pain. But
Yeah.
until you can determine if it's your emotions or someone else's, you tend to get stuck in the emotions and it gets confusing. A good thing to do is at different times during the day, just start telling yourself what you're feeling. I'm happy. I feel sad because, and identify your emotions. That way you
Yeah.
separate it from other people. And uh, Gina said something about she gets angry sometimes. And if you remember,
Who doesn't?
well, it's like, who was it? Abraham Hicks. She talks about the emotional scale. When you're angry, you're getting better. When you're depressed, people can handle you. They tell you what to do, but when you're angry, you're coming out of it. So, but
Yeah.
this is the paradox for a person who is compassionate and an empath. We say, I shouldn't be feeling angry. And so we go back. We would rather feel, some of us would rather feel sadness than anger. And you have to
Yeah.
realize that you're getting better. And as a human being, we have a full range of emotions. You're going to feel you're going to feel every emotion at some point. You just feel
Yeah.
it and you let it go. That's the thing about being empathic and compassionate, is learning how to take care of yourself while you are there for other people. That's what I think.
Absolutely. And on a
And yet,
spiritual sense, especially for those of us in this community, next weekend is the full moon. And that's the perfect time to do a ritual to write down the things that you want to be gone from your life and the things that you want to manifest into your life. And
mm,
then you write that down on paper and you tuck that away, and then you take it out in the new moon. In 2 weeks after that, when the new moon hits, you take it out and you do a little ceremony and you burn or throw away or whatever this slip of paper with
I like
what
that.
you've written on it, and get rid of it. So you're letting it go. You're putting it out into the universe. Here it is. Okay, I'm letting it go now. Do your thing.
I like that. I
And
like that.
and it takes a lot of it takes a willingness to admit to yourself,
Hmm.
I need help. with this
Mhm.
emotion or this problem or this
Mhm.
person that's bugging me, or
Mhm.
whatever
Mhm.
the case may be.
Mhm.
But as in all things, you have to first look at yourself. If you can't
Mhm.
forgive yourself for something that's happened in the past,
Mhm.
how can you expect other people to forgive you?
Mhm.
Because you're always going to go in with that victimization attitude, and oh, woe is me, and everybody's against me, and blah 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 blah. And that's real good for a while. And then after a little while, people are like, okay, it's time to grow up, and
Mhm.
put on your big boy pants, learn to deal with it.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, mental health has been so stigmatized
Mhm.
throughout the world, much less in just this country alone,
Mhm.
for hundreds of years.
Mhm.
Um, and all it is, trying to think how to put it,
Mhm.
it's just a matter of learning to accept what is upsetting you, to look it in the face, and then to let it go and
Mhm.
give it back to source and say, okay,
Mhm.
this is beyond my capacity to deal with. You're up, deal with it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then walk
Yeah.
away and let them deal
Yeah.
with it.
Mhm.
And that is really hard to do. It really
Mhm.
is. Um,
Believe it or not, Americans are more open to mental health and counseling than other societies.
yeah. And we're not
Mhm.
very good at
Yeah,
it.
you're right. You're right.
We're not
But
very
we
good
are.
at it, but we're better than a lot of other places. So,
Yes. Yes.
that's a plus for us. Um,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think it's the next Saturday, next Sunday, whenever the 21st rolls around. That's the
Mhm.
next full moon. Um,
Okay.
and
Mhm.
it's hard to swallow your pride and ask for help from others,
Mhm.
because it's like a part of you feels like you're admitting that you're a failure to
Mhm.
yourself because you can't do it on your
Mhm.
own,
Mhm.
without realizing that
Mhm.
actually nobody can do it on their own.
Mhm.
So, you got to just
Mhm.
kind of figure it out for yourself, or hopefully turn to somebody that can give you assistance or help walk you
Yeah.
through some of the process.
Yeah.
Um, that's just as important. Um,
Mhm.
and it is a process, I think,
It is. It is.
asking for help. Yeah.
You know how you can start the process of asking for help? Allow someone to pour you a cup of coffee or hand you a soda,
Yeah.
because most people who have a hard time asking for help, people will say, "Would you like a cup of coffee?" And you say, "Sure." And they say, "I'll get it for you." "No, I'll get it." And you almost push them over. Allow them
Yeah.
to pour a cup of coffee. I mean, like, we don't realize how now let me say this though. Most A lot of people who are empathic, they are used to doing things on their own because they can figure it out. It's almost hard to allow other people to help you because you don't know how they're going to fit in the help, if that makes sense.
Right.
Sometimes if you're allowing people to help you, you may have to plan it out more extensively in order not to take it over and do it yourself. So I'll have to say a lot of this stuff, it's not like you're not allowing help and you're bad. It's like you've had to do it on your own for so long,
Yeah.
you don't know how to incorporate other people. So it's about you learn about yourself and you say, well, a lot of us will say this. If you want anything done right, you do it yourself. I'd rather do it myself, but sometimes you have to practice letting people help, and you have to figure out
Absolutely.
how to do that.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Or you're not equipped or able to help yourself.
Mhm.
And so you're stuck having to try to balance yourself on that beam as you go across the
Mhm.
raging river of life and say, okay, I need
Mhm.
somebody
Mhm.
to hold my hand and walk me across this footbridge. I can't do
Right.
it on my own. Um,
Mhm.
and it's amazing how spirit
Yeah.
will come out and answer the call. I mean,
Right.
um, and I'm trying to think. I had this whole thing prepared,
Did you?
and then 45 up and got shot yesterday, and it kind of blew everything out the water, and I didn't get any of it done as far as compiling all my notes. I was like,
Mhm.
every week it seems like it's something with me. Um, Isaac hadn't given up on me yet, so I'm doing good.
Oh,
Uh,
we're good. I think we're doing really good.
I do
I
too.
think we're doing.
I like the fact
Mm.
that we're getting people in the chat who are
Mhm.
open enough to talk to
Mhm.
one another,
Mhm.
as has been evident in past chats where they have
Mhm.
really shared
Mhm.
some really heartbreaking stuff, um,
Right.
as well as talk to us in the process.
Mhm. Mhm.
I find that
Yeah.
very encouraging. Um,
Me too.
yes, Maureen, Isaac has beautiful eyes. That's one of the first things that drew him to me. The first time I met him, it was his eyes and his smile. And I was like, where has he been? I liked his face. So,
Well,
and
thank you.
fortunately we got to be friends. So
Yes. Yes.
that was a double blessing on my part. And
Mhm.
and we actually don't live that far apart. I'm just
Mhm.
waiting for my wheels to show up so I can go take a visit. And
Uh-huh.
we're just next door to each other, one state to the next. So not that
That's
far.
it.
And so and y'all will be in on the ride because we'll do a live stream when we get together. Say, hey, everybody, look who I
Yes.
found. But uh, I, because of what happened yesterday, I think of all of the people that were in that crowd that are now going to need help to deal with what they
Mhm.
witnessed and what they felt.
Yeah.
My heart breaks for the
Mhm.
family of the man that was killed who was just
Yeah.
protecting his children from stray bullets.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he died instead. And it's like,
Mhm.
that has to be the noblest action to lay your life down for another, especially when it's your children. Um,
Mhm.
and my heart really breaks for his family. What a horrible way for somebody to go. Um, but at the same time, I think it's been very healing. It has opened up a lot of conversation. Like I said, we got online yesterday, a group of us, and kind of hashed it out in a very snarky attitude because we were all trying to deal with it ourselves. Um, and to see, when my son went to work last night, he was shocked just by the reaction of the people that were there for the band that night. Um, and how he said, they sounded more like you talking than they did under the Republicans, which they're registered as. So it's like, if something like that happens, your political affiliation shouldn't have anything to do with it. You're not. That's not what's traumatized. You're what's traumatized. And I see Isaac
Mhm.
reading
Yeah.
carefully in the chat. So um, okay, we've got
Mhm.
Blessed One had a question. Um, that I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm gonna pull a card on it. Let's see what we
Mm.
get.
Okay.
Um, because yeah, that's part of asking for help. That's
Mhm.
another avenue.
Mhm.
What if you're living somewhere that's not safe? What if your
Right.
child has to walk through a really unsafe neighborhood to go to school every day?
Mhm.
What if you have to ride a subway to work every day and you don't feel safe in that subway?
Mhm.
Um, uh, there's going to be a lot of people that, because of what happened yesterday, are not going to be willing to go out to another public venue with a
Mhm.
large crowd. You already
Mm.
see crowd sizes diminish across the board, whether
Mhm.
if you're a talking politician or a musician, simply
Right.
because people are afraid of what could happen. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, that's
Mhm.
all right. At least I didn't drop them this time.
Mm.
I got a couple of reversals here, and I don't normally do reversals. I have to look those up. Um, let's see. My initial instinct, blessed one, on when I read the question was there may be some lingering energy from the former family that was there, or maybe
Mhm.
even from before they were there. Um,
Mhm.
that's making you feel uneasy. Um,
Mhm.
it can be scary to go into a place where things that you can't see are going bump in the night, and you're not going crazy. It happens. It really does happen to
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
Uh, okay. Well, the Nine of Pentacles reversed is talking about temporary setbacks. So you need to delve into why you feel like this place, this house that you're living in, why does it feel so much like there's there's something more here than what I can explain with my five
Mhm.
senses. Um, and I think it's important to talk about that so that other people can share their experiences. And then that kind of lets you know, okay, I'm not alone
Mhm.
in this. Um, I think that's probably one of the most important things
Mhm.
is to feel like you're not alone. Um,
Mhm.
let's see. Yeah. Um, I mean, when my husband died, it was the night before our son's 17th birthday. That's
Wow.
the hardest thing I ever had to do was to tell him when he got home with his friends
Mhm.
later that night that his daddy was gone.
Mhm.
Um, and I would never want to have to give that message to somebody else again. It was
Mhm.
traumatizing. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, especially when it's something like this, when it's a violent act that takes
Mhm.
somebody else, it
Mhm.
is really, really difficult to get yourself back on track again. But you can do it.
Mhm.
Just have to
Yes.
work at it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, nothing is impossible.
Right. You're right.
We just have to expand our minds to accept that concept, you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, you got anything to add to that? I'm drawing blank now.
Mhm. I think you're right. It's not impossible. It's tough, but it's doable. You'll have to go through, you have to go through the grief process, but you can always. The best way that I've dealt with loss is how do I honor the person, life, maybe what I remember about them, something that represents them that I have around me. Uh, just yesterday, because my sister, I don't know how long she's been dead, my oldest sister, but her birthday was Friday, July 12th. I was I live in a rural area and I'm on this little country road, and then I see this bird fly by my car and go up in a tree. And I saw it. It was a hawk. It landed on a limb. I stopped. I looked at it. It sat there. And hawks are supposed to be able to see spiritually, see things that are coming. And I'm like, well, maybe he was reminding me of her. I took a photograph of the hawk sitting in the tree. I My window was up, and then I was like, if I let the window down, it might fly away. I let the window down, it still sat there. I took the photograph, it looked around, flew away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It, it,
but
it's
I
it's it's amazing when spirit will put
mhm,
synchronicities in your life
right,
to let you know that you're on the right path, or you're asking the right questions, or you're
because they
seeking the
will
right answers. Yeah.
when I think of her or anybody else, and this is what I would encourage people to do is to be mindful, because usually it's a good memory that comes back, something that's positive, and we take it to sadness because we miss the person. And I think we should almost like stop and remember them the way they want us to remember them.
Oh
That's what
yeah,
I believe.
without a doubt. Yeah,
That works for me.
absolutely. Are there any other aspects of this that y'all have questions about, or anything like that before we wrap up? I mean, again, there's betterhealth.com. Is it .com or .org?
.com.
.com. Okay, there's
Hmm.
betterhealth.com, and they're designed to. I mean, you could talk to a counselor right there on the phone.
Hmm.
You can schedule to go in for a meeting, or if they're not in your town,
Hmm.
they'll set you up with someone in your town that can help you maybe figure it out.
Hmm. Hmm.
And don't be afraid to say, you know what, this doctor isn't working for me. I need a new doctor.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because a lot of times we keep going to the same old guy who
Hmm.
doesn't know how to do anything but fried foods. And that was my experience working offshore. Um, and it there was a dog. Um, Now I lost my train of thought. Take it away, Isaac. Save me. Um,
Well, the yeah, BetterHelp. There are so many different online platforms for counseling.
mhm.
They're confidential. They're I guess not easy. Well, how do I want to say they're convenient. Convenient. It's not
Yeah.
like you got to jump in your car and drive across town or get on the freeway to get to somebody's office. You can just sit down in the privacy of your home, and all they're going to ask is that you're alone in a room or in an area by yourself so that you can talk to the person. Is Help is available. That's what I would say to you. Help is available.
Yeah, I
And
try to find
don't be afraid to talk to friends, family, somebody that you feel comfortable sharing your information with, not anybody that you
exactly.
think is not going to be respectful of your information. Share it. If you decide to share with a friend, share it with someone who is supportive.
Absolutely, because I mean, first and foremost, I think the wide majority of our chatters really have our backs with a lot of things. They spend a lot of
Mm-hmm.
time with
Mm-hmm.
uh, trying to understand the different questions we may throw their way. Um,
Right.
so you're never too old to learn. You're never too old
Mm-hmm.
to wear a cast. When
Right.
you ride a horse that your grandfather tells you not to ride a horse on,
Mm.
and my brother was in a cast for like 6 weeks. um,
Wow.
and he didn't break it; he just bent it.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was like, "He bent his bone. How does that work?" And the doctor said, "Well, imagine a mechanic has to pull out the dent. They use that
Mm-hmm.
special thing that suctions on their own. It'll pop
Oh,
out the
okay.
door panel."
Okay.
He
Oh.
said, "That's for a lot of people. That's what mental health wellness
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
being willing to open yourself up to actual facts and try not
Yeah.
to supersede what it is you're doing
Mm-hmm.
that just seems to click with you, I guess would be a good way to
Mm-hmm.
put it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
All possibilities exist, so it is
exactly.
possible to get
Yeah.
better.
It's just like fighting with your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
You know what buttons to push if you want to really have a fight, and you know
Mm-hmm.
what buttons to avoid if you don't want to have a fight.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's buy some more ice trays. It's a lot more convenient. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think. Was there anything else I had read? I'm going blank on it now. It's just down the road on Congress and Ambassador
Mm-hmm.
Caffrey, or Camilla, excuse me, Gilbo, whatever
Mm-hmm.
road you want to call it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that just takes time. As they say, time heals all wounds.
Yep.
Even the internal wounds when nobody can see you bleeding to
Mm-hmm.
death because you're
Mm-hmm.
hurting so bad for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Um, that could be a very difficult choice.
Mm-hmm.
Your turn.
That's all I got.
Oh my goodness. Hang on just a second. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I
Okay.
had to adjust my shorts. They had ridden up in the back of my legs from the plastic seat. And I went to move and it was like, it was like, oh, that hurts. Gotta love vinyl.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
At least with real leather, you don't stick like that.
Oh.
um, I'm not. Thank you, Maureen. That's good information. If
Mm-hmm.
you're a vet, um, or anybody that thinks they need help, there's
Mm-hmm.
a, a text number to call.
Mm-hmm. They have the VA. They have their own for military. They have their own platform
Everything.
for
Yeah.
online counseling. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's kind of like the difference of dealing with a bank or a credit union.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to use a bank account as collateral or trying to make an online payment, if you're in a regular bank, it's rare that you have an issue with it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're in a credit union, that's a lot harder for them to just process through and say you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
They have to hold it for a while and watch the athleticism of the young man, um,
Mm-hmm.
of anyone that's trying to do anything, especially for vets, because so many, especially for the ones that come back disabled physically,
Mm-hmm.
not just emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
They need help more than anything
Yeah.
because they're dealing with all kinds of different scenarios that are wrapped around in their brains. I mean, my son still suffers from PTSD from 5 years in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
He did 2 deployments. He saw and dealt with some things while he was on the other side of the globe that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people wouldn't be able to handle after the fact.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he did the best he could, but now he has issues regarding that, and it's learning to get past that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's betterhealth.com is a good start if you think you need something a little more involved. And
Mm-hmm.
trying to think, um, check with your local clinic in town.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of cities now have a free clinic for mental health issues where you
Mm-hmm.
could go in and talk to a licensed professional counselor. Someone like
Mm-hmm.
Isaac, you would go in and say, "Oh, Sir Isaac, I need your help,"
Mm-hmm.
and you would go from there. Um, so it's I think it's important to remember that we're responsible for our own actions and beliefs. Granted, what others may do or say around you may skew
Mm-hmm.
those beliefs. But I think overall we tend to do pretty good in this country as far as trying to help people line up. We're just
Right.
not very good at getting them the help they need.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes back to the 80s when Reagan was in office and closed
Oh,
all the places down and sent all these very unprepared people to
yeah.
suddenly be out on the streets and with nowhere to go and nowhere to take care of them. Um,
Right.
so I guess my biggest thing is don't be afraid to ask for help and allow others to help you because it's their blessing as well as yours.
Yes.
Uh, if someone asks to do something for you, it's not an insult. It's
Mm-hmm.
them trying to make something better for you because they see a need.
Mm-hmm.
Um, anything else you can think of to add to that?
Mm-hmm. Just if you need help, reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Isaac doesn't have a channel, but if
No.
if you want to talk to him, you can always touch base with me, and I'll shoot him an email with your contact information, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe he can give you a chat, point you in the right
Yeah.
direction.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, you can always ask me, and I'll just give you my unprofessional opinion, but that's up to you. Um, some people may think my opinions are bunk, so who knows? Um,
Nah.
you can
Uh-uh.
always schedule a reading. I can do a reading for you, and
Yep.
and yeah, I mean, just talk to spirit, just talk to your
Mm-hmm.
ancestors, talk to your guides, and just say, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
need help. Point me in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes, love one another and be kind to one another. That's very
Yes.
important.
Yes.
Very
Be kind
important
to yourself. Yes.
because you deserve it too.
Mm-hmm.
You deserve it too. Okay, guys. Well, I guess we're going to wrap this up. I didn't get my book out with our topics. So I'll post our I'll post 3 topics in the community page next weekend for y'all to vote on what you want us to discuss on the next episode in when do we come back? We come back on the 28th of July.
Okay.
We'll be back. And so Isaac and I will go through our list of ideas, and then we'll pick out 3 that we like, and then we'll post them up, and y'all get to choose which one we talk about. So
yes.
And I think we both really like doing it that way, because it makes y'all more invested, because you're the one that gets to decide what we're going to talk about. And
yes.
And it's by popular demand. I can't think of anything else.
I can't either.
So y'all have a great week.
Yeah.
Smile.
Yeah.
Be kind to each other. Be happy.
Self-care. Yes.
There you go. Take a nap when you're tired. I should talk. Take a nap. Enjoy being with your family, even if they do make you crazy. They're your family. You have to deal with them some way, shape, or form. And it's usually better to do it on good terms than bad.
Yeah.
And I think I'm done.
Okay.
I'm just rambling at this point. Okay, guys, y'all have a great week. We'll see you in 2 weeks. We'll be back on the 28th, and y'all take care.
Take care.